Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Funke Afolabi Brown. I'm the founder of Restful Sleep MD, where I help busy professional women and their children prioritize sleep. And so today I had a question recently, and that's what I want to discuss. And it was about our kids waking up early on the weekends, right? You might be that mom who has had such a busy week, and it turns out getting your preschooler out of bed in the morning to get them to school, it's like a chore, but you're eventually able to get them through the week. And then the weekend comes, and you're like, okay, you know what? Now you get to really sleep in, and you get to sleep in as a mom. Everybody gets to sleep in. It's awesome. And then guess what? 5 a.m. Saturday morning, they're up, they're ready to go. What's with that? Like, did they not read the memo? And so that's what I want to talk about today, because I know how frustrating it is, especially when you've been so busy, you've been going all week, and you're hoping to catch maybe 30 or extra minutes of sleep or an hour, and your children are just not, they're just not getting with the program. And this is really specifically for, I would say, that preschool age where, they still need your help to some degree, but, they still, but then they, want to try their limits. Why not? So there are a few reasons why our kids wake up frequently earlier on the weekends, and on the weekdays it seems like they don't wake up frequently. And I'm not talking about teenagers, because most teenagers tend to sleep in on the weekend. One, because they have that delayed circadian rhythm and they're really chronically sleep deprived. So this is a little bit unique to those with younger kids. Now, one very common reason is that they may be overtired when they're going to sleep. So if you are, if in your family you guys have this like awesome treat on Friday nights or Saturday nights where they get to stay up late, which is just so exciting. We get to do movie night or something, or hang out with family, and they're not going to bed until much later. It may be that they're overtired. And really, the actual understanding behind this is not very clear. But one thing we know is when kids are overtired, especially our younger kids, definitely our infants, is they get less sleep. So better sleep begets better sleep. So sometimes I've had families say, well, my child wakes up really early, so I'm going to put them to bed later and then hope that they'll sleep in for longer. And we get the opposite effect where they wake up earlier. So that might be what's happening. If they're going to bed too late, maybe typically their bedtime is around 7 or 8 p.m. and now they're not going to bed until 10 or 11, then they may just be going to bed so overtired that they then just wake up early. The second reason is something that I call FOMO is real. So think about it. All week long they've been going to school where there's structure, and most kids may like school, some not as much, or they don't get to see you as a parent, as the parent. They may not get to hang out with you as much. And then weekend comes, and guess what? There's a birthday party, there's a play date, we're going to grandma's house, we're going on a trip, we're going shopping. We get to do all this fun stuff, and it starts on Saturday. It starts the day after Friday. And guess what? They are so excited. So they're already, sort of primed to think, oh my gosh, as soon as I wake up after Friday is over, I'm going to wake up to Saturday, and it was going to be the most awesome time. I'm going to get to spend that day with my parents and things like that. And so they may be just so excited, and they don't want to miss out on any part of that amazing day. So that's another reason why you may be seeing that your child is waking up super early, running into your room. The other thing is there may be things that are happening on Saturday morning. Wink, wink. It may be cartoons, or, they get a special breakfast. So there's something they're really looking forward to. And so that's one of the reasons why they may be waking up early. Now, the third reason is related to light, right? Something that I talk about a lot, right? Light is the strongest cue for our circadian rhythm. And when our eyes and our brains perceive light, it's daytime. And so for your child who might not necessarily be able to tell what time of the day it is, that it's, 6 a.m. and it's maybe not yet time for them to get out of bed, if they get light streaking in from anywhere, from the doorway, from the windows, or anywhere like that, they may tend to come in because it's morning, the sun is out, right? So that may be something you want to consider. Now, the fourth I'll say is lack of concept, right, of what it means to sleep in. So to you, it's like, yeah, you're going to get to rest, let's sleep in and things like that. For them, it's like, no, 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 that's extremely boring. We don't want to have any part to do with it. So let's not do that. So they don't get it because they're just not able to understand why they need to stay in bed. And, I know this can become a source of struggle, especially for you as a mom who's just trying to buy that extra time. So there are a few things I would say you could consider. Again, all these things are not bad. If you're a morning person, if you don't mind them getting up early and they're getting enough sleep, then really there's no problem. But if you're like, you know what, I need to get them more consistent, I need to get them, at least getting the right hours of sleep, and I want to make sure that they're not waking me up in the morning, here are a few things that you might want to consider. The first, I would say, when it comes to that being overtired, would be to try to get them as consistent a schedule as possible. I know that, for example, maybe all week you guys have not had enough time to spend together and things like that, but then pushing and delaying their bedtime may not be getting them the right amount of sleep they need. So I would recommend that you keep a consistent sleep time and a consistent wake up time as best as possible. So that's one real low hanging fruit that you want to maintain. So that same kind of close to wake up time that they're doing or bedtime that they're doing over the course of the week, you want to try to stick to that. Number two is that you maybe want to hold back to all the amazing things they're going to do the next day, because I know kids who, for example, it's they're going to Disney for the summer and you've told them this, it's spring, then they're like, is it summer yet? Is it summer yet? Is it summer yet? You know what I mean? So if you're like, oh, we're going to go see grandma tomorrow, then at night they're like, is it morning yet? Is it morning yet? Is it morning, right? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? So you may want to hold back depending on how old they are, depending on how they perceive these things, so that, they don't feel like, they need to get up at the crack of dawn to have that experience. And so that's something that I would recommend doing. The third is, deal with the light, right? If you notice that there's lights in the hallway, if you notice that light comes streaming into their room early hours of the morning, then you may want to get like blackout shades or blackout curtains. And so this way you're sure that that light isn't waking them up and then making them fully alert. So that's something that you may also want to consider. And then number four, to address the concept of them not knowing what time it is, I think that's just going to be something that will get better with time. In the meantime, one of the things I would recommend is getting what you call an okay to wake clock. And an okay to wake clock is just really a clock used especially for younger kids who may not be able to tell time yet, and it changes color, right? So it may change from red, so it might be red all night long, and then it changes to green at a time that you set. So if you notice they wake up at 5 a.m. or 5:30 or something on Saturdays, you may want to then set it for 6 a.m. and say, well, it's not wake up time. You have to stay in your room. And of course, you may want to put maybe like a book or some kind of quiet activity that they may be doing, even if they wake up earlier, for them to do until it's time for them to get out of bed. And guess what? When they stay till then and the light changes color and they show up at your door, be ready, right? Be ready with all the energy, applaud them, celebrate them, make it a big deal, get a treat, because they stayed in bed for that long. So that's something that I feel is really helpful. It's also helpful for kids who have multiple wake ups at night, in the middle of the night as well. Is one of the strategies that I recommend. So again, I hope this has been helpful. There's nothing you're, doing wrong. You're not a bad mom because your child is not allowing you to sleep in. And when we talk about that sleeping in, I'm not a fan of sleeping in excessively on the weekends, again, because it sort of disrupts your circadian rhythm. So your children being your alarm clock is maybe not a bad thing, but if they're waking up super early, there are definitely things we can do about it. So, we talked about what we could do when it comes to the late bedtime, right? Regularity. We've talked about what we could do when it comes to the FOMO piece, which is, try to decrease that anticipation and excitement, like keep some things as a surprise for them in the morning, right? Third, we talked about light. And then fourth, we talked about the okay to wake, especially when our kids don't really have the sense of what time it is. So again, I would love it if you share this video, like it, comment in there. Let me know how you feel. Let me know if there's content you really want me to discuss as well. And until next time, I hope you rest well.